Is ABSS adequately funded or is it underfunded? And if it is underfunded, how will they make up the shortfall? Will they make cuts or will they come to the county commissioners in the next budget session to try to make up for that shortfall? Well, hello and welcome to Alamance County Talks Politics. On January the 13th of 2025, Alamance Burlington's Board of Education, the Alamance County Commissioners, and our local legislators, Dennis Riddell, Amy Gailey, and Steve Ross, met at the ABSS headquarters on Vaughn Road to discuss the school system. And one of the big topics that they discussed was, is the school funded adequately or is it underfunded? And if so, how will they address these issues? So we're going to look at some of the slides that ABSS presented to this group, to these boards, to show them where ABSS stood concerning their funding sources. So in this first clip, we're going to be looking at the three funding sources that he lists here. And notice in this, the funding sources, they have the state funds ABSS at 51%. I believe, if I remember correctly, Dennis Riddell showed a slide earlier on, or some type of something that showed that they funded the school systems from the state budget. I believe it was at 58, a little over 58%. So the state funds ABSS, they receive 51% from state, they receive 31% from local, and they receive 18% from federal. So they're trying to lay out these outlines here as to where they are receiving their funding sources. And notice here, Mr. Messer now will take us to another slide and show us how local funding has dropped. Now, whether that's due to capital outlays that he'll mention, we'll watch that and we'll go from there. So let's listen to him as he presents this next slide.
And this is a snapshot. I know that Representative Riddell mentioned that 89% of the state budget going to public education was for salaries and benefits. Typically, for a school district, whenever you put all of the funds together, it runs between 69 and 74%. Last year, Alamance Burlington was at 64% as far as salaries and benefits. I think that what kind of skewed that number is the amount of money received to remediate mold. And I think that kind of drew or caused the capital outlay to kind of sneak up there. Whenever I looked at previous years, it was between the 69 to 74% threshold.
So we can see there on that slide that Mr. Messer is presenting, showing that the salary and benefits portion for ABSS was 64%, to where in previous years it was from 69 to 74. And he said he wasn't sure if that was capital outlay reasons from all the mold issues or what, but he's making a distinction that the salaries and benefits has dropped from the previous year down to 64%. Now, notice this next slide comes from DPI, the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction, and notice the way the funding is laid out here as he tries to continue to show that ABSS is underfunded.
A lot of information on this page here, and I want to reiterate that this comes directly from DPI. And this is relating to operational expenses only as of June 30th of this year. And state funding, ABSS ranks 90th in the state from state funding per pupil. That is an increase over the prior year. Local funding ranked 89th in the state as of June 30th, 24. The prior year was at 55, but the difference in such a wide span was ESSER funding was used to mitigate a lot of those expenses, and also fund balance was used in the previous year. Federal funding, you see this at 47%. If you see the inverse between local and federal from the prior year to the current year, you can see where ESSER money was used to mitigate some of the operating expenses. Total funding per pupil ranked 92nd, prior year 102 out of 116 LEAs. This comes directly from the Department of Public Instruction. Now, let me say that this is not capital. This is not any kind of bond money. This is just strictly operational expenses on a per pupil basis.
So you can see on this slide, it basically, and he says this isn't a slide that ABSS has created. He took it straight off the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction funding website. And also you can see here the state funding, they ranked 90th, local funding 89th. You can see the previous year, the local funding was a lot better. And he tried to explain as to why that may be. Federal funding at 47. And he said, if you look at the total funding, you will see that looks like we're 90, I believe 92. We were previous year 102. Basically just trying to show people that according to the DPI, Alamance County, according to this slide, is not faring very well. Now, when he presented this slide, he got a little pushback, or at least a question asked from Senator Amy Galey. And let's listen to this interaction between her and CFO, Mr. Messer.
1 second, Mr. Messer. Yes, Senator Galey.
Do you want questions as you go along in the presentation, or would you wait to hold questions until the end and then be barrage?
I'll be glad.
Either get through the presentation and then have a ton of questions, or not be able to get through it because we stopped filming slides.
Yeah, I'll be glad to stop and ask questions now because I know this is a big informational sheet here. I anticipated those.
Okay, my question is about the state funding and ranking 90th. How come there's such a disparity between, is it got to do with the allotments and the tiers, like the tier 1, 2, 3s? So the tier 1 is the lowest.
Yeah.
Do they get more money? Is it the disadvantage?
Yeah, tier one counties sometimes qualify for additional grant money at the state level, and also it's your demographics in your community will, like, you know, some districts may not qualify for low wealth money, some districts do, and of course Alamance Burlington does. And then you also have some counties that they get small county funding. There's just little different pockets of money that the state gives that not all districts are eligible to receive.
So basically, when he answers that question, he's telling her that it just depends on the demographic and of the school system. Some counties will receive more money because she's asking the question about why are we ranked 90th from the state level. Now, I think also included in there during this interaction, I believe Alamance County Manager Heidi York also spoke up and was concerned about the funding from the local side, and it didn't count the capital, and I think she was concerned about that because it really didn't reveal exactly how much was given for each pupil and where we would typically rank if that money was included. But the reality is based on these DPI numbers, it looks like Alamance County, the funding is not there. Now, is it? I don't know. If it is, it doesn't appear to be. If it's not, the question then remains: where will ABSS come up with the other money to help get them into a competitive position? Because the state legislature said there's really no more from the state. Now, the next question is they will have to go to local, or they will have to make cuts within the ABSS school system. Now, let me show you this next slide that's going to talk about supplements. And this is where it could impact Alamance County citizens, taxpayers. And let's look at that, and then I'll explain to you. Here he's going to speak about the supplement.
I think Dr. Fleming mentioned that ABSS certified supplement was extremely competitive in the state. It was ranked 20th. And it was somewhere in the middle range as far as regionally. However, though, the 24-25 school year, the supplement was held at the same rate as it was for 23-24. So there is an anticipation of dropping in rank as a result of that due to budgetary constraints. Just throwing the number out there, if the supplement was made whole, meaning that next year, if it was bumped, the step that should have been bumped this year and the step next year for 25-26, that would be an approximate cost of $2.5 million.
So he makes a decision, or he's made the statement that the supplements were held last year, and if they and I think they were ranked 20th. I think even at this time, Commissioner Pam Thompson makes a statement and says when she was on the school board, I think they were higher. I mean, they were lower, which was good. That's where you wanted to be one of the best. And but they didn't pay the supplement last year, and if they pay it this year, it's going to be an extra $2.5 million added to expenses, because that's what they're expecting if they want to remain competitive. So the question we have to ask ourselves is, where are they going to get this $2.5 million along with other expenses? There were other expenses concerning bus driver pay. Are they going to be able to manipulate the budget to make everyone happy in this area? And where are they going to get the $2.5 million? It's either going to come really from one of two places. They're either going to have to make cuts, or they're going to have to come to the county commissioners and ask for money, whether it be in the form of a tax increase. I'm not sure what that will look like, but we will have to pay attention to make sure and to see exactly what happens. But you need to be aware. You need to be up to date on these things so that you understand the budget process is going to be underway very soon, if it's not already. In fact, I'm sure it is. But let's pay attention to this. We'll see how ABSS works their budget to make sure that all of these issues are taken care of. And we'll see if the county commissioners participate in that. And if they do decide to help in the supplement and increase that, how will they do that? So we'll look forward to seeing how that unravels. So is the school system, is it underfunded or is it adequately funded? Well, as I said earlier, it just depends on who you ask. We'll keep following this, and I hope you do too. If you enjoyed this, let me encourage you to hit the like, subscribe button. This is Alamance County Talks Politics. And until next time, take care.